Lions-Rams this Sunday night. Here we are. Welcome back to an all-new episode here at Let's Talk Lions. My name's Jay, for anybody who has not been here, because I haven't even been here for quite some time. Wild year leading up to this season for the Lions. My wife is pregnant. We bought a home. It has been a wild transition of life, and so took the off-season off, because that's what an off-season's for. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, so took the off-season off, just kind of chilled, and have done a lot of stuff around the home and just preparing for baby to come midway through the season. The fact that there are Super Bowl aspirations for this team, it's pretty crazy, because I was looking back at some of my first videos, making them here on the channel, and just kind of where the Lions were at. It was the Matt Patricia era. We were beat down very deliberately into the dirt, and so to be here now, to listen to Brad Holmes the other day, he talked about Super Bowl. Like, he dropped that word casually, but it's an odd feeling because we're that good. Like, the Lions are that good, you know? And so when I look at this squad, when I look at this team, it's crazy to not just sit here and be like, okay, we're trying to get a wild card slot. We want to win the division. Like, these are things that you want to do, obviously, and you need to do them to get to where we want to go. But it's kind of a wild time to sit here and say, this team is Super Bowl caliber. Like, they are built, they are poised for this. So I think in that regard, hearing Brad Holmes say that, I absolutely love it. And yet, at the same time, I really respect what Dan Campbell had to say, being like, all right, we've said it, now let's shut up and let's go play the game. You know what I'm saying? There's that attitude of like, okay, that is where we want to go. Absolutely. And every team is like, yeah, we want to win a Super Bowl. That's the point of the game. But to be a part of a fan base that now we look at this Detroit Lions team, for me to look at this squad and be like, shoot, man, they can do it. We were 30 minutes away. We were one football off the face of Vildor into Ayuk's hands. We were one fumble on our own 20 away. 30 minutes blowing a 17-point lead. But you know what? That is neither here nor there. Well, it was there in yesterland. You're following. You're tracking. So Lions, Rams this Sunday night. Stafford comes back to town. It's kind of wild to me that the NFL schedule makers set us up with our first two playoff games at home again, right? Like, it's Rams followed by Tampa Bay. Those are our first two playoff games last year. They're hitting us off the bat with them. Two great teams. The Rams got better than they were last year. Like, they just did. And I look at us, and I think we're a better team. We addressed the corners. We brought in Carlton Davis. You get Amik Robertson, Terrion Arnold, and all that he's going to have to shoulder this year. Kirby Joseph's back off that injury. I think our secondary is better. Brian Branch going into year two. Our squad is a better team than they were last year, but I think it's worth noting, my guys, I think the Rams are also a better team. Aaron Donald obviously steps away, but the running backs room for the Rams between Williams and then they just bring in Michigan boy Blake Corum, like that's a good squad. That's a good backs room. And they also take Jonah Jackson from us, which is kind of like, I hate that. I hate seeing such a big piece to our O-line go to another NFC team. You know that we have to switch up certain things. I listened to Coach Campbell talk about that and what he has to do, what we have to do in order to change up code words and make sure that he's not too focused in and the defense not able to understand exactly what we're trying to run. But when I look at this team, I look at the Rams, Puka Nacua going into year two, he is just that game, that show that he put on at Ford Field last year, when I've gone back and watched that and looked at that again, kid was lights out. What was it, 180 yards, something wild, where, man, he just was all over the field, making plays. Cooper Kupp, yeah, maybe he's not to the tier that he was a few years ago before that injury, still freaking good. He is still phenomenal. He's still going to be taking a ton of looks his way. The Rams are a solid squad. They have gotten younger and healthier, even with Aaron Donald moving on and then finding pieces to revitalize, to revamp. It's like a shot of adrenaline into that D-line, into the O-line, into their squad. They're a better team. So this is no walk in the park. I think this is going to be a wild game, mostly because week 1 is always wild. You plan all off season. You have so much growth, so much new talent coming in. Week 1's always a crapshoot, in my opinion. I do think that the better teams find a way to win. It was crazy. You think about last year and what we were able to do to Kansas City. I look at this game, Lions, Rams. I do believe the Lions take the W. If Jahmyr Gibbs and that hamstring is as healthy as coach is saying it is, if DJ Reader is able to play week 1, which I've heard, hey, man, that is a high possibility. Davenport coming in. Super excited to see Jamo's usage this year as well. We have seen, and you have heard through training camp, I went to training camp, got to watch him. Jamo looks different. He looks different, and I think he's got a great head on his shoulders at this point. Like the maturity that has taken place in Jamo this offseason it's phenomenal. And it's something where I'm like, man, Brad Holmes, he knows what he's doing. Whoever is a part of that entire evaluation, whoever is also a part of the evaluation of these players, they have done a phenomenal job of finding guys that, they're 21 years old. They got the world ahead of them. They have dollar bill signs sitting out in front of them to go get. And they still find these guys that just have it mentally. And Jamo, seeing this switch that has taken place where he's like, this is year 3. There's no distractions, no gambling, no suspension, no ACL. Jamo wants it. I don't know if you heard, you probably have at this point, like he came out and was just like, yeah, what are my goals? It's most receiving yards and TDs in the NFL. And that's going to be a hard bargain when you got St. Brown on the same team. But what I love about that is that it's the intensity. You know, it's like that feeling of I am that good. I am that good. And to hear Jamo say that, and he knows it, and it's not like the years past distractions have thwarted him seeking such heights. That's what I love. He looks at himself and the talent that he has, and he's like, no, that's my goal. I'm gonna do it. You know? And I think it helps when you see St. Brown get paid. I think it helps when you see Sewell get paid, when you see Goff get paid, but specifically the guys getting drafted to come to Detroit, and Jamo's like, that money's on the table. All I got to do is earn it. Earn it. Jamo looks good. I think this is going to be a year in which he pops off. So I'm not going to say if you're a betting man, but if you're a betting man, excited to see what strides Jack Campbell makes. From what we're hearing, from what we can see, like my man's elevating his game and he's elevating that leadership aspect. Now, granted, he's not an outspoken guy. You've watched any media session you have with him. It almost feels like he's like, can all the cameras go away? Like, I'll talk to you. Just shut off the cameras and put the mic away. Love to have that. But it seems like he is growing in that aspect. And it helps to have a guy like Anzalone who is there leading the charge. But I think Jack Campbell's going to make some big strides this year. Cannot wait to see what our D-line looks like with Hutch, with Lee McNeil, with DJ Reader, with Davenport. Like the whole slew of them looking phenomenal, growing in congruence. I want to see Levi Onwuzurike and what he has because, man, listening to the coach talk about him, like, sounds like my dude is he's put in the work. His body is being able to handle this, and that's huge. He's had so many injuries and things keeping him back, but mentally, he's keeping it going, you know? So, again, these are just my thoughts leading us into this week, kind of where we're at, just kind of getting some of this stuff off of my mind, off my chest, heading into week 1. Drop your score predictions in the chat below. I'm going to say Lions win this game 31-24. Could be 31-27, but I'm going to go 31-24. Lions take the W, and we solidify another Matt Stafford sad moment here at Ford Field because he's got a slew of them. My man's got years of them. But if we could just add another one on top of it and say, well, not only do you lose in the playoffs to the Lions, but we'll just, just wipe the floor with you week 1. That's what we want. That's what we want. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know. And good to be back. Good to be back. Good to be hanging. And let's enjoy this season. Enjoy the time that you have. I heard in one of my favorite quotes has to be from, it's odd, but it's from The Office. And it was in the finale. Andy said something very interesting that's really stuck with me for years, ever since watching the finale. And he said, I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days while you're in the good old days. And I think Lions fans take this moment to realize we might be in the good old days. So enjoy it.